welcome. You're watching Money 9. I'm Sakshi Batra, and here's wishing all our viewers a very happy World Financial Planning Day. And on this special edition, we are going to be focusing on everything that you need to know about kickstarting your financial planning journey. Joining in is an esteemed panel of experts. With me, I have Mr. Rajesh Krishnamoorthy, Country Head, Financial Planning Standards, both Dilshad, Billimoria, MD, Dilshad Consultants, and Suresh, Sadagopan, MD and CEO, Ladder 7 Wealth Planners on this Money 9 special. Welcome, panelists, and here's welcome, panelists, and here's wishing all of you a very happy Financial Planning Day. I want to begin by thanking all of you first for the contribution that you made to this space, for helping all of us in carving out our own path to wealth creation. So first up, let me ask my first question to Mr. Rajesh Krishnamoorthy, who's been at the forefront, at the helm of affairs all through this while in the last 10, 15, 20 odd years, helping all of us, achieving all our financial goals. So just bring in the idea of helping all our viewers who are from diverse spaces, different geographies, and at a different earning stage. What exactly is financial planning? Is it only about retirement planning? Is it only about saving for an emergency need? And also, if you could help us understand, why is it absolutely essential for everyone out there, no matter how small or big their earnings are, to have a financial plan?
Sure, Sakshi, very kind of you to have me on your show, and let me wish all the viewers across the country and the world, if they're watching us, a very happy Financial Planning Day. It's a very important question and a very foundational one that you've asked. I always try to share with my close family and friends that financial planning is not a cumbersome process. Number one. Number two, financial planning is not a thing that you do when you probably have a lot of money or you are very wealthy. And number three, financial planning is not about only numbers. So these three basic things: one, it is not cumbersome; two, it is meant for all of us; and you should feel that as common men and women, we are all having aspirations in life. It could be anything. It could be any aspiration, depending on where you are, what strata of the society you are, what engagement that you continue to have, what you want to have in future. But what happens is that many times people confuse financial planning to be a huge elephant that it's not meant for me. It's better I do some small things. So I start with that basic premise that fundamentally, if you ask me what is financial planning, leave aside financial planning. What is your life? What is the plan for your life? Right? You will have that plan. I always say, think about what you want to do in life. Forget the financial part. Let's think about what we want to do in life, the simplest way. And then you connect that to your financial journey. So if you want to go and study in a college and become a doctor, then that journey has to be supported with certain decisions of money. And that is planning for your education. If I have a child at home and I want to see that he or she is married off after 10 years, that is my life goal for which I need to start looking at my finances. So where I come from is that financial planning is nothing but understand these life goals and then come back and ask, now how do I get the other things in place connected to money to support this life goal? So these are the simple ways in which we should look at financial planning, actually.
That's a wonderful way to start off with. But I'll ask you a follow-up question as well, because we are at a stage of time when we are seeing a huge phase of digital disruption. On the one hand, we have influx of plethora of fintech apps, new digital savvy investors get easy access to investing at a touch of a button, or even voice commands now, which we've been talking about on our platform with the various new fintech apps emerging. But what they perhaps are at the risk of is that they may be investing without the right knowledge. How do we deal with this current situation?
Well, two important things I wanted to highlight here. One is we always confuse or we always confuse ourselves by saying that What is accessible is something that I know how to use,
Mm,
even if it means that it might be something complicated within it. So
mm,
just because I have something to access so easily, like you access credit by swiping a credit card, right? That's the easiest form of access for you when you swipe a credit card. Now,
yeah.
let's stay with this example. Everybody understands swiping a credit card, which means what is happening? You are taking a loan on yourselves.
Mm,
That's what happens when you swipe a credit card. Now,
mm,
if you are not able to manage this access properly, what happens? You end up spending a lot on your credit card. When the bill comes home, then
mm,
you start looking at the sky and wonder, how will I pay this bill? Because I went swiping it because it was so easy to swipe.
yes.
Similarly, when it comes to a lot of these apps that are there, I do not say do not use technology, do not use convenience.
Mm,
Where I come from is that just the mere access doesn't mean that you become the master of the subject,
mm,
and you need to take that right guidance. So if you do not know what stock market is, if you do not know the ABCs of investing, if you do not know how to identify what stock I should invest,
yeah.
forget about that particular investment. I go one step before that and I go back to the first answer. Why are you making that investment? This why has to be answered, and then we come to, okay, how do I figure out where to invest? That
Yeah.
you need to know. If you don't know all of this, then it is like, aimlessly firing. It's aimlessly firing your money at some things, hoping that it will work for you in the future. This is the only thing I would like to share when it comes to self driven, or easy access based internet investing, or mobile app related investing. Yeah.
Right. Also, sir, I wanted to ask you one more thing. With easy access, we are also seeing the emergence of the new alternate asset classes, which is really taking all the eyeballs. People are interested in finding out. Say, for example, cryptocurrency. I see a whole lot of next generation, younger generation, really going forward to achieve, their financial goals through this means without really understanding the fundamentals
Yeah.
of whether this technology is going to really help them and
Yeah.
is safer than the others as well. So how would you really tell all these millennial investors to be aware of where they are investing?
Sure. So the simple way to look at it is, we are social animals, and therefore it is but natural that we will have herd mentality. 10 other people in your locality are doing it, so you will also feel like doing it. The whole
Yeah.
world is talking about it, so you think you also want to do it, because otherwise you fear that you are missing out on something great. That is number one. So stay
Mm,
away from herd mentality. Number two, when it comes to particularly such kind of asset classes, where when you talk about an asset class, what is the meaning of an asset? An
mm,
asset is something that has value. And how does an asset have value? For example, if I wear this this attire and I say this has value, it's because
mm.
there is something in this, right? There is cotton, there is linen, there is some button, there is something in this which gives it value.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you ask me, at this point in time, I am still figuring out, or I'm asking people, what is it that gives value to a coin? What gives that value to that coin? Just because 20 people get up and say, I will buy that coin for 100 rupees or $100, and
Mm,
20 other people will get up day after tomorrow and say, that $100 which you bought, I'm willing to buy it at $200. But
mm.
underlying, what is the value? What does it derive its value from? I think unless you get an answer to this question, any
Yeah.
asset class, forget about coins or crypto, whatever you talk about it, unless you can understand what contributes to the value of that asset class, it is merely going and jumping into it and buying it because you think that others are doing it. So just don't do that, is all I can say.
Well, that's a very valuable advice. I'm hoping that all the young generation is definitely thinking about before investing via these new apps and just going ahead with the whole frenzy around this space. Thank you so much for speaking with us. I know you have a prior commitment. It'll be a privilege to have you back with us. On Money Nine, so that we can discuss much more on money matters. Thank you so much for being with
Sure,
us on
thank
this
you. Thank
special
you.
day.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Let's now move on to. I wanted to ask Dilshad first. You several points we've discussed so far, a whole lot of discussion on the way we are stepping forward in the new generation financial world. So far, the challenges that we have seen. I wanted to understand right from the basics. Say somebody who has not yet started on their journey. This could be new generation who's just started earning. They have money, so they are spending. It's easy to spend. They're also perhaps saving in their bank accounts, but they don't know where to start. So, what are the first steps? How does one begin? When does one begin? And where to start are the most basic questions which everybody gets stuck with. If you could just simplify that for all our viewers.
Sure. Thank you for having me on the show, Sakshi. It was a pleasure. Yeah, that's a very interesting question. And, I say that if you cannot seek the help of a financial advisor initially, blindly invest in the public provident fund and possibly an ELSS, the equity linked saving schemes, which gives you a Section 80C. The reason I'm suggesting this is because ideally this provides a twofold benefit, right? So it gives you a tax benefit on your salaried, by way of reducing your taxable income, and it provides an automatic asset allocation to your portfolio by having PPF or the public provident fund in fixed income and equity in ELSS. So ideally, do not first expend or spend the money. Ideally, save first, and then use the money towards expenses. So I think that is something that all the younger generation must understand, because yes, you would like to spend on the latest gadgets and throw the money that you have initially, but remember that this is going to help, and the power of compounding over the long term will definitely play in your favor.
Absolutely, Dilshad. Well pointed out, because the first thing that we hear about is that the moment young millennials start to earn, the first thing they want to buy is an iPhone or an iPad or something like that, because that is the aspiration right now. So you spend on gadgets, be it because of peer pressure or because of consumerism. You may call it what it may, but it definitely is important to save first and then spend later. Suresh, let me come to you. What do you really tell your clients when they come to you and ask that, I want to invest? And, how do you really advise them in terms of assets to get the right mix of diversification? I want to ask you this because we are seeing very encouraging signs of more demat accounts opening now, higher SIP flows. So people are recognizing the kind of returns that you're seeing in these riskier assets beyond FDs and the traditional forms of investing. Are you also advising your clients now to think about or on the lines of REITs or InvITs as the new asset classes as well?
Sakshi, I'm going to step back a bit, and I'm going to start from financial planning. I'm
Yeah,
going to take only 10 seconds. So, what is
sure.
financial planning? Rajesh had dwelt on that
Hmm.
slightly at least. I'm going to spend only 10 seconds. Where are
Sure.
you today? Where do you want to go? So
Hmm.
that is the first thing that we need to understand. Where are you today? At a personal level, at a financial level, where are you today? So I mean, we'll have to take stock of that situation. Now the next thing is where you want to go. So where you want to go is those are your goals, and ultimately where you want to reach in terms of your wealth. So that is the destination. And I would simply say that the financial architecture, the blueprint that we create, from taking you from here where you are and what is the current status to where you want to go, that is the
Hmm.
financial plan, that is the blueprint.
Hmm.
So if we actually define it this way, now I'm coming to your question. If we actually define it this way, you will understand that it is not about investment. A lot of people talk about REITs, a lot of people talk about cryptos and a number of other asset classes. So the first thing that we need to do is where are you, and what is that you need to do in terms of, in terms of investments, in terms of reaching that. And before that, I mean, we will have to have a plan. We will have to have a financial architecture, so that
Hmm.
I mean, you know where you are going. It's a very unfortunate thing that for everything in our life we plan. For a birthday we plan. For a marriage we plan. For even an evening out we plan.
Yeah.
But the most important thing, which is our own money, and for which we work for 30, 40 years, I mean, we don't have any kind of a plan. A lot of
Yeah.
times the money is just lying in the bank, and the first person who comes and gives a spiel, we are willing to invest in that particular product. So that's how money gets invested. So in
Yeah.
my mind, as far as investments are concerned, it should be a byproduct of the financial planning process itself.
Right.
The asset allocation suitable for that person is a factor of how many years to retirement, what is the tenure requirement, what is the income requirement, if at all it is needed, what is the risk profile of the person. So there are multiple things. When are the goals coming in the future? Because
Hmm.
investments are also going to be a factor of when the goals are coming into the future. If it's all bunching up in the next 2-3 years, predominantly we'll be looking at a debt-oriented portfolio. Okay,
Yeah.
for meeting that. So it's a factor of that. So the asset allocation becomes very, very important, and we should not put the cart before the horse. I mean, we should not be talking about investments to start with. We have to have a overarching plan, which is the financial blueprint. And then once the financial blueprint is in place, then it will actually pick out those assets for you where you have to invest in. Now, you specifically asked me about REIT, so I'm just going to talk about that. A
Yeah.
lot of people, at least who come to us, they already have a fair amount of investment in property as it
Oh,
is when
yes.
they come. And
Yes.
a lot of times we have trouble in terms of convincing our clients in terms of liquidating some of these properties, because number one, they may be probably over invested in an asset class, probably because they need liquidity for various reasons. We have to ask them to get out of that. So
Yeah.
now, if there is a sense in having REIT or any other asset class in that, we are open to that. So the
Yeah.
first thing is, I mean, as far as financial advisors like us are concerned, we will
Hmm.
have to be product agnostic. We have to be client centric. So that is the most important thing. I mean, don't focus on products. The idea is not to accumulate products. I mean, most of the people confuse financial planning with accumulating products.
Hmm.
So you cannot really construct a palace, or you cannot call, let us say, 200,000 bricks as a palace. I mean, you
Yeah.
require those bricks. The investment products are the bricks, but you
Yeah.
still have to construct that edifice, which is the palace.
Yes.
So that is how I will put it very broad.
Absolutely understood that. Dilshad, let me come to you and taking your point forward, what you were talking about earlier about the various, schemes and options that you spoke of, the PPF scheme and the ELSS as well. Uh, just like how Suresh also pointed out that where are you starting and where do you want to go? That is the fundamental. That should help you understand your financial goals. But it gets very difficult for somebody if you quickly ask them that, what is your financial goal? They'll be actually going back and thinking, I don't know if buying a car is my financial goal, planning the next international vacation is my financial goal. Can it be a financial goal also or not? And or long term marriage, education, getting a house, retirement planning. How does one decide which is the best form of investment for short term and for long term financial goals? If you could just simplify it for all our viewers today.
So, identifying goals actually is quite easy because everyone has aspirations, everyone has, wishes. I think it all starts with a problem statement, right? So,
Hmm.
everyone says, look, this is what I'm facing now. Either my cash flows are being affected, or I'm heavily in debt, and therefore, my EMIs are sucking up so much of my cash flows, or it could be an asset allocation of real estate, etc.
Hmm.
So I think it starts typically with a problem statement, and that's where we build upon the goals. And very often it's easy, especially the first goal. Say for a millennial is let me plan for a vacation. So I'm planning
Yeah.
for a fantastic vacation. So it's absolutely fine, but I think 2 points need to be kept in mind. One is this is not a rocket science, right? So it's very simple. It's very straightforward when it comes to your planning. We try and match one's resources to their goals. Now, if you come with a certain set of resources, please be understanding of the fact that you cannot have such high-end goals if the resources are less, right? So there has to be some sort of a match, and that kind of understanding is important at the initial stages. Second is one needs to prioritize, their. So there might be a person who says, I have 8 goals. I want to buy
Hmm.
a yacht. I want to go for a vacation. I also want to retire by the time I'm 40. And they are already at say 28 or 30. So it becomes difficult. So I think prioritizing one's goals is again very, very important. To answer your question about the various investments, again, here it would be a combination of their risk profile, the asset allocation, and the time horizon to the goal that we would normally decide on where the investment. So typically, if it's a short term goal, we define short term as anything less than 3 years. We define medium term as anything between 3 to 5 years, and long term, over 5 years. So accordingly, we would be planning the various asset classes and investments so that it meets both their risk profile as well as the time horizon to the book.
Okay, understood that. So, Suresh, I saw you nod, when Dilshad really pointed out, you want to have a vacation or a yacht as well. Was there any fancy, some plan that you also had or a goal when you started your financial planning? I want to ask you.
No, I'm a simple guy. I don't. I'm not into yacht, and I'm not into private jets, and I'm not into any of those things. So
Okay.
as far as I'm concerned, I want a decent home and a decent lifestyle. That's all I want. Even my
Okay.
car is not really very anything fancy or anything like that. But what I would say is, I will just go back to what Dilshad said. I mean, it's all a factor of not only your earning capacity. I mean, your mindset also. So
Hmm.
my mindset may be something. I may want to splurge on certain areas. Somebody may
Hmm.
want to buy a yacht. I
Hmm.
mean, who am I to judge on that? I mean, I'm nobody to judge on that.
Hmm.
So my point as a financial advisor is that I look at the whole thing as a third person, and I
Yeah.
see whether these things are going to be feasible. And
Yeah.
the important thing from my point of view as a financial advisor is that um, okay, buying a yacht may be a good thing for you, but are there other goals which are higher in the priority hierarchy as opposed to buying a yacht? Because the way I see, a yacht may be a low to medium priority goal or even a low priority goal in the overall scheme of things. So are we achieving the high priority goals? After achieving all the high priority goals, do we have enough money to buy a yacht and maintain a yacht? Then of course we have no problem in somebody going for a yacht or a higher end car or international vacation and things like that. So we cannot be judgmental about that. We have to make the client also very practical about these
Yeah.
things and then help them achieve the goals.
Absolutely. Dishad, you ever had, dreams of owning Manish Malhotra lehengas or something, or do you have any clients who've come to you for such kind of plans? And, would you plan
No,
something for these kind of dreams as well?
no, I think the yacht point is catching up, but we just had one client like that. No, Sakshi. So I think at the end of the day, you typically are the values that you are brought up with, right?
Mhm.
And the value systems that your family has brought you up with. So I
Yes.
think it's more the younger generation that are, looking for, I'm sorry, I cannot kind of give that as a blanket statement, but yes,
Yeah.
uh, people are looking at quicker experiential benefits, shorter horizon goals, and not very convinced about the fact of the power of compounding, of the power of long term investing. They are, in fact, many of our millennial clients, have said that, hey, you have worked out the option that a rental, apartment would work out cheaper compared to,
Yeah.
owning
Yeah.
one. So why are you still suggesting that we, have our own? So I think it's the mindset, and the kind of value systems that ultimately drive what one considers as priority.
Absolutely. Understand that completely. Suresh, one more thing I wanted to ask you, and that is, of course, we've talked about these financial goals, the way you go about it, the planning of 3 to 5 years, long term, short term, how do you decide that, and the various options that are available with you in terms of asset classes. I want to go back to what I was asking Rajesh also, that, with the new culture of emerging of new fintech apps, a plethora of them at the touch of a button, what the next gen is also surrounded with today is that they have numerous payment options, low cost EMI, zero cost EMI, buy now, pay later kind of formats, literally everything that costs even as low as 1,000 rupees. I wanted to ask you, for those people who are looking at them and increasingly getting into this form of payment, are these models a win for customers, or are they a potential debt trap? How do you advise your clients?
So I would only say that the model or the payment mechanism itself is neither good nor bad. So
Hmm.
let me ask you whether fire is good or bad. I mean, fire is good, right? I mean, if you are cooking, you require fire.
Yeah.
But fire can also burn down a house or burn down a forest. So fire is
Hmm.
bad. So it is how the fire is used that it can be termed as good or bad. Fire inherently is neither good nor bad, and that is the same with water. That is the same with everything. So if you are having more convenience through multiple apps which are coming in today, I will broadly consider it as a very good option. So now, is it that people are becoming more indebted because of the new options? I would say no. I mean, it's a factor of the discipline, the mindset of the person. So you had an option like credit card for the past maybe 30, 35 years. So if you want to get indebted, you can do that. Gold can be pledged, and that is probably maybe 1,000 years, 2 millennia old. So you can always pledge gold. So if you have the wrong habits and if you don't have discipline, and if you're if you're interested in splurging beyond your means, see, the option is always there with you. I would definitely say that things have become far better in terms of the payment mechanism which are available today, the investment mechanism which are available today, and I mean, we have to be responsible. We cannot really say that because this payment mechanism is there and at the touch of one button, I'm able to invest or I'm able to access a loan. This is very bad and government should ban it. So I mean, I'm not coming from there at all. I mean, we have to take responsibility. We have to take charge. We have to be disciplined.
Yeah.
So that is how I'll put it. I mean, I would say the ecosystem is very conducive now. I mean, look at it the other way. The ecosystem is so conducive that at the click of maybe 3 buttons you can invest today. So let us talk about that. So it's a positive. I would not say it is negative. I mean, anything you can abuse.
Okay, and
cough syrup is being abused. I mean, cough syrup is good actually.
Okay, Dilshad?
So I mean, I just have a slightly different point. I think we are moving from kind of a savings to a consumption-driven kind of economy, and as long as one is mindful of the fact that they're at least saving roughly between 30 to 35% of their income. Like Suresh said, we are not there to stop them in terms of having high-end lifestyle purchases or goals as such. It would but it's also important to be aware that if I start where I am and if I do not do anything about my finances, I cannot expect it's not like I can put in more and then my money would grow so much better and those sort of things, right? So it's the systematic and the discipline that one needs to understand, and the power of compounding, which actually has worked really well for people over the long term. As long as they are aware of that fact, I don't think that we should be stopping them in terms of having their own aspirations as well.
Okay, understood. Well, we're running out of time. There's a very interesting conversation that we are having, and I hope to have that many more times because we can't have everything in half an hour's time. But last question to both of you. We've so far spoken of how does the investor go about financial planning. I now want to understand. It is still uncommon in India for families to have a financial advisor. We still have our own family doctors or a lawyer or CAs, for example, but it is still uncommon that we have our own financial advisor who can advise on how we plan our own finances. If there are 3 people working, 2 people working, 1 person working, how do we go? So help me understand, both of you, how important is it to invest in the right financial advisor? How do you choose one? And could you also bust the myths right here that, once I need a financial advisor, I need truckloads of money to hire one. So I don't need one. I'll just go by hearsay, go with what my friend is telling me. Suresh, first to you and then Dilshad.
Yeah, so it's a huge myth that people who have loads of money require a financial advisor, while people who have a lot of money probably may require a financial advisor, but people who are comparatively modestly endowed, I think they require financial advisors more because the amount of risk that they can take, or the uh, the potential fall for them can be disastrous as compared to another person who is loaded with money. Even if that person loses, say, 20%, 25% of the entire corpus, that person who is actually really rich is not really going to be affected all that much. Whereas another person who does not, who has a very limited, tight kind of a situation, for that person, they actually will require a financial advisor. So the second point which I want to say is that, see, in the financial services space, we are not really used to paying. Okay, uh, predominantly it has been like a sales oriented
Yes.
services environment. Okay,
Yes.
so you have somebody who is selling mutual fund, you have somebody who is selling insurance and things like that, and
Yes.
whatever advice is coming there is sort of bundled advice, and that it is not charged separately.
Hmm.
But it does not mean that Indian consumers are not used to paying for advice or paying for services. Let us broad base that. So we pay for we pay a doctor, we pay a lawyer, we pay an architect, we pay a CA, we pay a lot of these people. And closer home, we pay our driver, we pay our maid. In fact, I had done a calculation. You can do the calculation yourself. If
Okay.
you have a driver for let
Hmm.
us say 30 years, the entire working life, 30-35 years,
Right.
you'll be roughly spending, I mean, and assume a 3% or a 4% increase, you'll be spending about 1.5 crores or something like that in that 30-35 year period. I mean, that's the kind of money.
Okay.
And if you do the same math for, let us say, a maid, I mean, the maid and the driver are, I mean, very, very important in our lives. I mean,
Yes.
for us to function.
Can't do without them.
So, and yeah, you can't do it without them. So, if you take a 50-year period in which you will have a maid, and you are probably paying her maybe 3,000-4,000 rupees. Do the math again. You will be paying roughly about under 2 crores in the whole period. So the
Okay.
point is, I mean, we are actually paying a huge amount of money for them, but I mean, we know that probably heart of heart that this is the money that we are paying, but it's very, very important. Now, coming to the financial advisor,
Yeah.
it is important that you choose the right person and
Hmm.
you pay that person, because see, I mean, let us understand this. A lot of millionaires are listening to the show. If you start at 20, probably you want to work till at least 50, maybe 55, maybe 60. So we are talking about 30, 35, 40 years. And the whole idea of maybe in being in a service is to create that wealth, meet those goals. Whatever expenses we have, we need to take care of them. So it is for that. See, the most important thing, that is earning the money, creating the wealth, we are not really giving the attention that it deserves.
Yeah.
And we are treating money cavalierly, and the money actually just accumulates in the bank account. And I mean, you are most of the people are just putting the money here and there based on some advice that they hear on from this person, that person, from colleagues, from parents, and so on and so forth, or what they read in papers or see in some TV show or something like that. While all these things are fine, but does it suit your situation? So who is going to tell you that? If you are financially savvy, which is probably 1 or 2% of the people, then perfectly fine. You can go ahead and do that. Now, for all the rest of them, you require a proper advisor. I mean, I may be a great guy in medicine, so I may be able to take my own medicine, but that is only 1%. For all the rest of us, you have a doctor. So similarly, in this situation also, that is the case. So you want me to go ahead and tell you how to choose a financial advisor, or should I leave that to Dilshad?
No, you can tell me and then I'll go to Dilshad. Yeah.
Okay. So it's very, very important to actually choose the right financial advisor. That's very, very important, because I mean, a lot of people are masquerading as financial advisors. So you have to see whether this person has the qualification, experience, certification, and is he registered with the appropriate authorities? Like in this case, it is SEBI, to provide advice. I mean, what kind of experience he or she brings to the table? What kind of processes do they have? I mean, on that, how many clients have they handled in the past? How many years of experience do they have? So a whole lot of things we will have to see, and probably you may want to check out the references of those people. Probably you might want to engage them and see what planning they actually do. I mean, actually see a sample plan. So once you do all those things, then probably you can engage with a financial advisor. And once you choose a proper financial advisor, trust them 100%. I mean, before engaging a financial advisor, spend a lot of time. You can no problem. You can actually roast them over the coals, no problem.
Yeah.
But once you trust the advisor, whoever it is, then you have to have full faith, and then you will have to go ahead with the advice that they give out.
Understood. Dilshad, up to you. How are you going to convince all our viewers who are looking now to you for advice and who want to perhaps approach you? Why is it essential for them to ring your office and say that could I have, some financial advice from Dilshad ma'am?
See, the fact that we're celebrating World Financial Planning Day, I think
Yeah.
that is a starting point of awareness and the importance of accepting the fact that today I need someone to guide me.
Hmm.
A financial advisor is very different from an investment manager. A financial advisor is more like a guide, is more like a sounding board, and will walk you through your entire life. Unlike an investment manager who would just provide you possibly with a investment solution and would then move on maybe to the next organization. So this is what we have seen also as to why clients typically would choose a financial advisor. And like Suresh rightly said, today there are everyone needs to go to a doctor, everyone needs to go to a lawyer, a CA, whoever is a professional, right, in their field of expertise. So why not consider that if I am working so hard today, shouldn't my money work as well? Shouldn't my life goals and financial goals be also taken as a professional point of view? So
Hmm.
I think that's where people must realize the importance, and it is definitely gaining ground. The fact that there is a World Financial Planning Day,
Yes.
and unless, unfortunately, in this country, unless things are made as a rule, people do not follow them. Right. So, for example, if I'm a salaried employee, I by default would be investing in employee provident fund. Or I would be opted for the NPS scheme of my company, or if I have a vehicle, I am forced to buy a third party insurance.
Insurance.
Now, because these are rules that we need to follow them. Unfortunately, the need and the importance of having a financial advisor. Of course, we have SEBI, who is a good regulator in terms of regulating the need for good financial advisors. But yeah, people must realize the importance. To answer the second question, I think there are three important parameters. One is certification, one is qualification, and one is education, right?
Hmm.
And of course, fiduciary has to come in front of all these, right? So being a SEBI registered investment advisor, it is one of the responsibilities of that financial advisor to always work in the interest of the client, and therefore there is a fee that is being charged. The fact that there is a fee being charged makes the advice unbiased and always in the interest of the client. If that is understood, and that kind of concept is taken up well in India, I think we'll have a lot for our profession going forward.
Absolutely understand that, and the way how Suresh really broke up the entire math of how we own, how we hire our maids and our drivers, and we spend crores over our lifetime. I'm just going to think back whether I need them in my life or to save that money or not. Well, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure, Dilshad, to have you with us, and Suresh,
Thank you
to
so
be
much.
sharing all your wonderful insights for all our viewers right here. Hope to have you back on Money Nine to share many more anecdotes, examples, so that all our viewers who've not yet started, still sitting on the edge and not yet planned for their finances, get kickstarting right now. I'm sure this has been a very insightful, informative session for all our viewers. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
All right, and with that, we wrap up this special edition of our Money Nine special on World Financial Planning Day. But throughout the day, you'll keep hearing many more experts on how are they advising you to be handling and managing your money in the best way possible, so that you can move towards wealth creation and financial freedom too. Thank you so much for tuning in for now.